Hey guys, I want to get straight into this video. I don't want to waste your time. You clicked on this video for one reason and one reason only, and that's to learn about the Deep Stone Crypt. So without a further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so there's 4 encounters in the whole raid and 6 if you count the Sparrow and Parkour sections. At the start of the raid, you will be greeted with a Sparrow Encounter. The task is simple, just reach the end, but there's a catch. If you are out in the cold for too long, or you get a debuff called Frostbite times 10, then you will die. So there are 6 total bubbles that give a buff called Shelter from the Storm, and basically you go from bubble to bubble without tallying times 10 Frostbite while in the cold to reach the end. But Frostbite's for normies, so I'm going to show you a glitch to be immune from the cold and make this whole encounter a lot easier. In the background gameplay, you can see me pulling out my Sparrow right next to the bubble and hopping off. Make sure when you leave your Sparrow that you have Frostbite debuff, or else it will not work. After that, I hop on my Sparrow from standing inside the bubble, and just like that, I put on an extra snow jacket and no longer have Frostbite debuff. Now I will show you the shortcut I took to get to the end a lot faster. If you want to see a legit route, then you gotta go to a different video because I don't cover that in this one. Also, there is a chest right in the mountains next to the end of the encounter, so make sure to collect it and get the special raid mods. They are super helpful when it comes to the other encounters, and you're really going to want to have them. And before you know it, you drive your Sparrow a little bit further, and voila, you're on to the first encounter. So this encounter introduces 2 very important buffs called Operator and Scanner. These buffs will play a very important role throughout the whole raid, so pay attention. In this encounter, the arena is split into 2 sides, black and white. There is also a basement area that the person with the Operator buff will go. You will divide your team into 3s and send one person with the Operator buff down to the basement. To obtain this Operator buff and simultaneously start the encounter, you will have to go to this or any one of these augment consoles around the arena. There are 3 to be exact, and there will be sitting inside your Operator buff. These augment stations are also very important because you will have to transfer the buffs from black side to white side and even basement while all the doors are being shut. To transfer, just simply put the buff inside, and anyone that doesn't have a buff will be able to pick it up at any augment station, including the one that you put it in. Now with that out of the way, I will finally tell you what your objective is in this encounter. You may have noticed when you walked in that your objectives panel told you to disable the crypt security. Well, that is exactly what you have to do. But how? Well, it has something to do with those 6 cylinders in the middle of the arena. You must destroy those 6 cylinders to disable the security, but before so, you must remove the shield that every one of them has. While you remove the shields, it must be done in a timely manner or they will all explode, killing everyone inside and wiping your entire team. Sounds pretty hard, huh? Well, let me explain how to do said tasks before you get ahead of yourself. This is where the Operator comes in. The Operator can operate everything by simply shooting the glowing panels on the walls next to the doors. The Operator must go down into the basement and clear ads for the time being. I will get back to that in a minute, but let me explain what is happening upstairs because it is also a very important piece of the puzzle. Upstairs, the encounter has started and people are clearing ads like crazy. Make sure you bring void damage and overload mods because there will be overload champions and captains with void shields that are very tanky. Other than taking out ads and killing champions, a special enemy, specifically a vandal, is going to spawn almost always on the black side with a greenish yellow symbol over his head. When you kill him, he's going to drop a scanner buff. The scanner buff will be very important on deciding which panels to shoot in the basement, as well as the cylinders to shoot for DPS. And that brings me down back to the basement and the Operator. The Operator will soon realize that there are tons of panels on the wall, similar to the ones that he shot to get into the basement. The only person that can see the ones that are glowing is the scanner. But if there is more than one person in the basement, then the whole place catches on fire and burns the 2 people down there to death. The Operator is the only one who can shoot the panels. So to shoot the right ones, the scanner, which is usually 2 people, 1 for each side, calls out what panels to shoot by looking through the glass up top. Some panels have hard to see angles, but all of them are manageable. There are usually 2 glowing panels on each side, so 4 in total, that the Operator needs to shoot. While the scanner is reading out which panels for the Operator to shoot, everyone else is clearing ads and also looking for this text to pop up. This text is an indication that sentinels have spawned, which are servitors, one on each side. If these servitors are alive, then the augment stations are disabled until the sentinels are killed. This means that you cannot transfer the buffs between black to white or basement. So once the scanner on whatever side they started on is done, they will put the scanner buff into the augment station and have the opposite side pick it up and call out which panels to shoot. Once the 4 panels are shot in a timely manner, the cylinders will open up. If you just start shooting at any random panel, unless you get lucky, you will wipe your whole entire team. You must find out the correct ones to shoot in order to successfully do damage. To find out the correct ones to shoot, the operator below must put his buff into the augment station, and somebody up top without the scanner buff must pick it up. So the scanner person up top can put his buff into the augment station for the person down low to pick it up. So you're essentially swapping the scanner and operator buff from up top to down low. Right above the augment station in the basement lies 6 electric cores, 3 on each side. 1 out of 6 will be glowing. If you are facing the augment head on, the left side corresponds with the dark side and the right side corresponds with the light side. The scanner down below must call out which cylinder to shoot, and everybody up top rushes to that cylinder and unload. You can usually get about 3 cylinders before the shields come back down and you are no longer able to damage them. Rinse and repeat, and sooner than later you will complete the first encounter. I recommend Xenophage for DPS, but a good shotty or sniper is good too. On to the second encounter. Guys, this one is tough. Not the pout about it for 5 minutes and then push through it tough. I'm talking 12 hours on day 1 tough. Atraks 1 is no joke. This encounter is easily the hardest one in the raid and probably the main reason you clicked on this video. And that is why I'm here. I'm going to explain this encounter assuming you either watched the beginning portion of the video or you already understand the operator, scanner, and the augments concept. Alright, so as you walk into this room, you will notice that there are 3 lanes, or sections to this arena. The simple left, middle, and right. Now what if I told you that was only half of the arena? Because that is exactly what the deal is. At the very back or top of the room, you will see these drop pods. These are the drop pods that will launch you into space when interacted with. There, you will find the other half of this arena. In a secluded space station miles above Europa's surface, the same 3-lane setup will encompass the upper arena too. Now that we got the arena sorted out, let's talk about the mechanics. The same 3 mechanics from the last encounter all apply and must be utilized for succession. You want to start by sorting a team out into 3s, preferably the same teams that you were assigned last encounter, since you will be communicating with each other a lot. To start the encounter, you must go near a glowing blue orb in the middle back of the room. This will spawn in 4 bosses or replications of Atraks that will roam the encounter the entire time, so make sure you brought your boss resistance mods. The same goes for the top arena. You will then notice whether you are on the top or bottom arena that ads are also going to start to spawn, specifically 4 wretches and 2 yellow bar shanks. Take out these ads on both levels and the second phase of the encounter will begin. The same sentinels from last encounter will spawn in, 3 on each level to be exact. Along with the sentinels spawning in, there will also be a scanner vandal and an operator vandal. The operator vandal always spawns on the bottom level and the scanner vandal always spawns on the top level. Kill the servitors to start the third phase of the encounter. This phase will always begin on the top level, mainly because the scanner buff spawns there first, but also because that's just how Bungie made the game. I don't know. Anyway, you will soon start to notice all of these bosses have stopped hounding you with bullets and are now opening their chest, creating a beam of light. This is your damage phase. Similar to last encounter, if you shoot any random boss, you will probably wipe your team again. That is because there is only one special boss that you have to shoot, and surprise surprise, only the scanner can see the correct one. The correct boss will be glowing yellow and you only have a 10 to 15 second time frame to actually start doing damage to him. The scanner and the 2 other people in the top arena have to go to the correct boss and either with Falling Guillotine or the Lament for best DPS results, start whacking away at this boss. There is only a 3 to 5 second time frame for DPS, so make sure that you let everyone get there in time and be ready to unload. Now this is only one out of the 4 little segments in an actual DPS phase, and that is because all the way back down on Europa, the bottom arena is about to have the same events that just happened on Space Station unfold down there. So right after the top arena is done doing DPS, the scanner scanner is going to put his buff into the augment and have someone on the bottom station without the operator buff pick it up and decide which boss to unload on. Pretty much just juggle the scanner buff with the 2 arenas until each arena has done 2 DPS segments. While one arena is doing DPS, the other is clearing ads and staying alive. All of that is pretty much just what the scanner has to do. Now let's talk about the operator's job. So first off, the operator buff spawns in the bottom arena and needs to function on the top arena. I recommend transferring the operator buff right after the top arena has sent down the scanner buff, but I have seen some teams start with 2 people in the top arena and 4 people in the bottom, just so that one person that stays down there in the bottom can pick up the operator as soon as possible and take a drop pod to space. Either way, you need the operator buff in the top arena before the second segment of DPS happens for the top arena. When you killed one of the replicants, you may have noticed a little glowing orb drop, or you have a replication debuff, and it has a timer. When the timer hits 0, you will die, and the replication of Atraks 1 will come out of that ball and do a wipe mechanic. So to stop that from happening, this is where the operator comes in. The operator can shoot the orb hovering over the person that has the debuff, and it will fall on the ground, and when you pick it back up, the timer will reset. But that does not get rid of the orb permanently, so you must call a meeting and vote out the orb for being sus. In other words, you must juggle the orbs until you have 4 people with the debuff in space station. 2 from the top and 2 from the bottom. The people from the bottom take a drop pod to the space station immediately after picking the buff from killing the boss. And may I say, the little mini cutscene that Bungie pulled out for that one is nice. Really well done. Anyway, once you have all 4 people with the debuff in space station, you must go to one of the 4 airlocks located top left, bottom left, top right, and bottom right, and open them by the operator shooting the glowing panel next to the openings. Once open, all 4 people with the debuff will rush inside, making sure not to get sucked out into space, but also remaining inside of the airlock. The operator will then shoot the orbs off of the people and have them run out of the airlock as soon as possible. The doors will begin to slowly shut after the first person steps inside, so make sure that you are quick. That will successfully get rid of all the false replications of Atraks 1, and you can focus on doing that whole process over again to do more DPS. Once you get the bar down to the final stand moment, everyone needs to take a drop pod to space if you are not already there. And there you will find 15 or so different replications, and only one is the correct one. Yet again, the scanner is the only one that can see the correct one, and everyone else just has to follow. The only real things to note is that the time for wiping, if you don't do damage to the boss in time, is way quicker. And the time between each new glowing boss is like 5 seconds. So you must be quick or your team will wipe and have to restart all over again. Good luck on this encounter because man is it tough. On to the parkour. For the parkour, there isn't too many things to note. It's just regular parkour. But I will have, in the background gameplay, a time lapse of me doing the whole section with my team. I will say, this is probably the best parkour section that Bungie has added to any raid before. And you're also going to want to turn your game music to the max volume because it adds an element to the atmosphere, no pun intended, that you are not going to want to miss. Sadly, I didn't have my music on this run, so I guess I'll see you at the 3rd encounter. Alright, welcome back. So this encounter introduces a new mechanic called Suppressor. I'll add more on that in a minute, but let's talk about the arena. It is a relatively small room compared to the past encounter, and no, it is not only half of the arena, this is the whole thing. I'm pretty sure this is the control room for the space station, but I could be wrong. Anyway, you will notice the boss, Taniks Reborn, is at the top of the arena, yet there is no health bar at the bottom. That is because you are not going to be killing the boss this encounter. You are going to be crashing the space station. That's right, but how? Well, all 3 of the new buffs will have to complete special mechanic tasks and work with each other in unison to get through this encounter. So I'll start off by explaining what the scanner has to do. There are going to be 4 little chest-like objects in the middle of the room. When you have the scanner buff, 2 of which are going to be glowing yellow. This is very important because there are going to be 2 nuclear cores that are going to spawn in, and you will have to deposit the 2 nuclear cores into their own separate chests before they explode. And with that brings me to the operator. The operator will see glowing red panels next to the correct sites where the nuclear cores will spawn. There are 4 spots where the nuclear cores can spawn. 2 of them are right above the middle area and the other 2 are to the far right and far left. Once the operator shoots the panels, someone is going to have to go and pick up the cores in time, or else it will blow up, killing everyone and wiping your team. 2 people without a buff should pick up the nuclear cores, with the exception being Scanner, which they can obviously see which chest is the right one. When you pick up the core, you may notice that you are no longer able to use your abilities, and you also won't be able to double jump or sprint. You may also notice that there is a debuff on the side of your screen called Radiation. The Radiation buff goes all the way to ×10, and when it hits ×10, it kills the person holding the core. You shouldn't really go over ×10 when putting the cores into the chests, but if you are getting close, one of your teammates that are already holding a core can come over to you and interact, and they will actually take the core from you and you won't have it anymore. While you don't have the core, your radiation debuff will start to slowly go down. Just to recap, the scanner calls out which boxes are the correct ones, the operator shoots the panels for the nuclear cores, then people pick it up and put them into the correct boxes, and done. But wait, remember I told you about the new buff suppressor? Well, it also plays a huge part in that whole process too. When the people that have the cores go to deposit them in the chests, it might say offline and they won't be able to interact with them. That is because the suppressor has not done his job yet. The suppressor must suppress the boss before anyone is allowed to deposit cores. To stun or suppress him, the suppressor must go to one of the 3 floating spheres around the boss. They will be glowing and the suppressor has to stand under the sphere and shoot the boss, then head to the next one. Once the suppressor has gone to all 3 spheres and shot the boss, he will be stunned and the people with the cores will be able to deposit. Also, the boss will let out a blast of energy and this text will pop up. This means one of the buffs have been disabled. Since this happens, I recommend pairing up with somebody that does not have a buff and have them available when your buff gets disabled. Anyway, if your buff gets disabled, you will have to take it to an augment station and put it in. Your partner will then come and pick it up and he will be the new scanner, operator, or suppressor, whichever one got disabled. That is pretty much the whole process and you will have to repeat it 4 times before the encounter is over. Once the encounter is over, the middle area will have a trap door that will open up and everyone inside is to jump down and start running. The boss will be chasing you and you will also have to make it to the end because there is a door that is slowly shutting the whole time, so be quick. It is not required for your whole team to make it. Just make sure when it's all over you pick up your teammates before the revive timer goes off and you wipe. I'm not going to show the crashing part because I want you to experience it for yourself, but it is pretty self-explanatory when you are in the crash back on Europa. Crawl out and now you are onto the boss fight. So you've made it to the end, and you're ready to finish it off. To delete Taniks from the game files once and for all. Like seriously, this guy was a strike boss in D1, a nightmare in Shadowkeep, and now he's a raid boss? Like what the heck? Anyways, let's get on to the layout. So as you come out of the wreckage, you find this place to be a bit familiar. That's because it was the entrance to the crypt at the beginning of the raid. Nevertheless, everything is sort of different now. I will start by calling the back area yellow, the left area blue, and the area next to spawn white. These are 3 locations that the operator, scanner, and suppressor will spawn. Specifically, the scanner will spawn at blue, the operator will spawn at white, and the suppressor will spawn at yellow. You will divide up your team into 2s, preferably the ones from last encounter since, again, you will be communicating a lot. To start the encounter, simply shoot the pile of debris in the middle, and Taniks the Abomination will fly out. Don't ask me how he got himself a whole jetpack chair in the midst of a space crash. I have no clue. Anyway, make sure you have 2 people at each station, because ads will start to spawn there and you need to take them out to obtain the buffs. Again, all of the buffs come from vandals that spawn, so be on the lookout. Once everyone has their buffs, the boss is going to start drifting toward blue, yellow, or spawn. Spawn is the place under the raid banner. While this is happening, the scanner is looking for the correct chest for the same nuclear cores to be deposited. There are 2 chests at each station, and there's also 1 augment station there too. I forgot to say that, but yeah, 1 augment station. Anyway, the callouts for the chest goes as follows. At white we have 1 and 2, with 1 being the closest chest to spawn, and all of the other chests follow a clockwise numbering system. Meaning since white has 1 and 2, blue is next, so they have 3 and 4. Then last, yellow has 5 and 6. Now that we have the callouts, the scanner is looking for the 2 chests to be glowing yellow, and calling it out so the rest of the team can hear him loud and clear. So back to the boss drifting to a different area. His thrusters are going to start glowing, and you and your team need to start damaging them as fast as possible, or he will do a wipe mechanic. While you are doing damage, Taniks will be making it rain with blue meteor showers that will kill you if you stand in them for too long. Once you do enough DPS to 2 different thrusters, they're going to drop 2 nuclear cores. Now this is where the second set of teams come in. So you're going to have core team 1 and core team 2. Core team 1 will be the whole scanner team, so basically just the person with the buff and his partner. The second core team will be the 2 people that don't have a buff at white and yellow. So back to the thrusters and cores and stuff. The 2 cores will drop and the first team will pick up the first core, and the second team will pick up the second core. Each of the teams will call out which chest number that they will be depositing at and proceed to make their way there. You will have to stick with your partner the whole time because the way to the chests are too long, and plus there are ads that spawn and need to be cleared. On top of that, the suppressor also needs to stun the boss for the people carrying the cores to deposit in the chests. So you are definitely going to need to swap with your partner at least once. Back to the suppressor's job. It's the same thing as last encounter, except there are 3 different locations that have 3 spheres floating around. Wherever the boss goes to have his thrusters vulnerable, there are going to be 3 spheres that you will have to stun him with. Pretty self-explanatory. You may be wondering what the operator's job is, and let me tell you, if you are an operator, you have it pretty easy this encounter. In the midst of core teams taking the cores to the correct chests, as tons of blue meteor showers hail down on them, the boss is also going to throw out little stun orbs. When caught in one, you will be frozen and won't be able to get out without the operator shooting it. If you remember the sundial activity back from Season of Dawn, it's the same stun from the boss fights, and man are they annoying. But yeah, basically the operator just sits back from everything and shoots the people that get trapped in the stun domes. After the suppressor stuns the boss and the cores are deposited, the boss is going to do that same energy blast, and one of the buffs is going to get deactivated. It is important to go swap the deactivated buff with your partner as soon as possible, because right after the first stun, he is going to get out of the stun and go to another part of the arena, and you must go do that whole process one more time. Once you shoot all 4 thrusters and deposit a total of 4 cores, then he is going to go back to the middle and stay there for a little bit. This is your moment to prepare for DPS. I recommend running Well and Bubble and also Divinity. For the best DPS results, try to run a Slug Shoddy and Anarchy. First in, last out with Vorpal Weapon and the new Raid Shotgun Heritage are both good options. If you don't have either of those, Xenophage will do, along with Chaperone and Duality. So you want to group everybody at white and place a bubble there. After a little bit of time, the boss will kind of explode or something. I don't really know how to explain what he does, but there will be a bluish white field around him with debris orbiting as well. You and your team will then run and jump over the moving debris and not land too close, but also not land too far. That is because if you get too close, you will step in this electrical zone surrounding him. If you step too far away, then you run the risk of getting hit by flying debris. So there is a small little zone that you and your team will have to stand while doing DPS. Once you guys are in, your warlock can pop his well and start unloading. After a few seconds, he will do a blast, knocking everyone back past the debris. I recommend letting it fully knock you back and not fighting it, because more times than not, you will land straight on the path of the debris. Just jump back over and start doing DPS. After a little, the whole damage field will go away, and you know that the damage phase is over. And that is a full cycle of the boss fight. You have, I think, 3 cycles before he gets enraged, and once he gets enraged, he will just start teleporting around, and you must do the remaining amount of damage to him or he will wipe your entire team, causing you guys to reset. If you do get him to his final stand threshold, then he will do the same teleporting thing and you will have to do the remaining amount of damage. If you didn't already know, the raid exotic is called Eyes of Tomorrow, and based off of what I've heard, it is a beast. Also, the boss chest has this new feature where you can interact with it and re-roll some of your weapons and armor. It's a pretty cool concept and very convenient. And with that brings us to the end of the raid. Congratulations. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. I hope you found this useful. I hope that I helped out some of your guys' runs. And you know, these videos take tons of time and effort, and a like would be greatly appreciated. And maybe even a sub if you find my type of content interesting. All of the footage you saw in this video was taken from my stream on Twitch at Lucullus11. Maybe pop in and vibe with me sometime. With all of that aside, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. There's no way this motherfucker's gonna die. Got you twice. No.